Go. Welcome to the show, Bret Alexander and Pete Palladino of the Badlees. How you guys doing?
Good.
Well.
Oh man, so life is funny. I knew of the Badlees and you guys back in 1995 when River Songs came out. My mom was an absolute huge fan of you guys, and your music was playing in my home, in every car ride that year. So I've known a lot about the Badlees and the music for a long time. It's kind of weird. It's what, 27 years?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? 27 years?
95, yeah.
30,
and just
32, I think, right? Who's counting?
it's just wild because, like, I mean,
Was that 1,800 hours? Was it?
I just never thought my life, my career would lead me to, working, at the weekend, or like I said before, in local radio, and obviously now having the chance to interview guys. And I see Bret often now, which has been nice. We handle your merch for the Badlees, which has been a lot of fun. So thank you for coming to Axelrad for that. But I guess, is it safe to say the Badlees are back?
Yeah. It's sure. I think that's safe to say.
Okay.
It's like we're a great time doing this, and I think that making this record and playing these shows and doing all the things that we're doing has been surprisingly easy. And it's just flowing nicely.
That's great. I mean, you guys have been around for a long time. And I feel like this is the first bit of new music since 2013, correct?
So yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. I'd say it's probably, with like all five of us from the original incarnation, it's been 20 years, but
wow.
But with just various groups over time,
Yeah. So, the Badlees has kind of existed over the past, let's say, 30 years or so, in different forms. So, like, what kind of brought you guys back together? I think you guys started playing shows. I don't even remember, but I know you guys did a thing at the Central, what is it called? Central Pennsylvania Music Hall of Fame last year. Is that kind of what started the reunion, so to speak?
Yeah, Bret, you can take this.
Yeah, basically they asked us to perform at that, and we didn't rehearse or anything. We just we came in early and did a sound check of 3 songs and then played them that night at the induction ceremony.
Right.
And I don't know. I think it followed that. That was something everybody certainly wanted to do. Wanted to show up for and do that, and then it kind of followed that if that went well, then I know that I certainly thought, we're probably going to get offered to play, so it was but that was certainly the catalyst that started it.
You make it sound so easy. Hey, we got invited to play the show, and we played it, and and we just didn't even rehearse. We kind of did sound check, and there you go.
Kind of
true musicians,
really. Yeah, really has been that easy, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, in our case, like
the stage blow up, and
I think Pete's internet's a little spotty.
Yeah, sorry. Let me see where we're at.
That's all right.
Hopefully we're good there. Okay.
What'd you say, Pete?
Yeah, I think I don't think any of us were sitting at home saying, let's get the band back together. I just don't think that it just wasn't in our universe at that point. Everybody was busy doing other things and like working on different projects, be it, family and other things. And so, this call to go do the thing for the PA Hall of Fame was like, it came out of the blue. And it was like very, very nice that they recognized us. And so we all did want to show up and kind of honor what the legacy was. I don't think any of us were kind of viewing anything beyond that moment. Let's step on stage, let's do our thing. And there's a certain racket that the 5 of us make when the five of us are in the same room. And it's like, and that was pretty special. And that was evident as soon as we started playing those songs. And it just, that's what it kind of grew legs. I think all of a sudden everybody looked around and said, I wonder if there's still gas in this car,
Yeah, I was going to ask you, did you guys stage that same night and look at each other and say, hey, like, that was fun. Let's see where this goes. Or was it, could you go home and kind of like soak it all in and kind of reconnect a day or two after, or how did that feel?
I think probably it was probably the next day the phone started ringing, it was pretty quick.
Mhm.
I don't know. It wasn't, I don't know. It felt very natural,
Yeah.
I know when we booked our first actual gig, and we got together and rehearsed, and you're going through these songs you haven't played in a long time, and you're thinking, and that was the only time, I wouldn't say I was nervous. I was just kind of like, okay, I got to be paying attention here, and because I haven't played these tunes in forever. And about 7-8 songs in, you're like, I'm not going to forget any of these things. It's like muscle memory just kicks in, and you're like, I remember all this.
Yeah.
Even though I hadn't actually done it in the better part of a decade.
Well, I'm sure it was a huge part of your life, right?
Sure.
Something you couldn't forget.
No, well, no, it's like, the cliche of like riding a bike,
Yeah.
it really, there is a muscle memory. I've played the whole time, and many of the songs I played, but like as of other guys, but in the band, but there was, but there's a lot of things. There's a lot of deeper cuts and things you hadn't played in a long time. You know what I mean? So it's, I don't know. It's somewhere deep in there. It's all been logged away, and it all came back out really quickly. So
That's what's been really interesting, especially back in like doing some of these. We went back and we did a show for a radio station in Harrisburg, and they asked us to play river songs from it to start to finish, and then we just re-released Diamonds in the Coal and played that from start to finish. And it's amazing to me that somewhere in our brains is exactly where we left off. So it's like, I think even with the Diamonds project, there were songs that we played maybe twice, and they were like, okay, that's what it sounds like, that's what it should sound like, right? It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is River Songs the kind of the album that kind of put you guys on the map?
Nationally, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many great songs on that album. Like I said, I remember vividly, like just being at home and my mom putting it on. Surprisingly, I have never seen the Badlees perform.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I don't know why. I know. I'm an idiot. Luckily, you guys are performing coming up, though.
Mm. When did you start working at the Weekender, John?
I started there as an intern in 2004, and then I was full time in 2005.
Okay. Yeah, so we were. Yeah, we were around here and there, from there till now.
Yeah, I was 14 when River Songs came out. So no, yeah,
95, 96 is when River Songs came out.
Yeah, so I was 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, I can't do math. 13 or 14. So it's like, I've always been a huge fan of music, but I wasn't, going out to shows and things like that. But that Angelina's Coming Home, Fear of Fallen, like that's just, is that right title, Fear of Fallen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's one that record, I think, you never have perspective when you're in it. And so, we were just, that record was just the next logical step for us. It was like we kept making records. And so I don't think any of us knew that it was more special than we were excited than it was our next record, and we kept moving the ball forward. And so all of a sudden that comes out, and like we just kept selling records independently and kept, all of a sudden people wanted to play stuff on the radio. And so for us, it was really just, you were just building on this thing, as opposed to all of a sudden, bam, out of, you went from 0 to 100. I think it was when all of a sudden these people started to fly out to see us play, that you knew that it was connecting in some other way than just the next logical step.
And what was that like for you guys, like to kind of, have that success and all that?
What was it like?
I mean, like it's just like everyone wants to be a rock star. Everyone wants to, create music that people love and enjoy, and they buy and they come to shows. Like everyone wants that, right? That's like the ultimate like goal, and that's the ultimate like outcome for musicians. I think, right? I mean, obviously, a lot of people perform because they love to perform, but like to have the success that you guys had, like that's like wow. I mean, what were your thoughts during that process?
I don't know. For me, I never really know that you're in it, and because you're in it, you know what I mean? Like it was never like, you reach the top of the mountain, right? Like our guys used to say, and like, so you're always moving towards the next thing and moving towards the next thing. And I think that, for us, it's not until you kind of step away and are able to look back at it. I don't know, Bret, what's your thought on that? Like, I never really, while we're in it, and be like, we've made it. It was never that moment for me,
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say, like when we actually, you start, then you're playing, places like the LA Forum, and you know what I mean, and playing with your heroes and people you listen to since you're a little kid, and
yeah,
and like, and you're doing that, and it's like, and you thought about that for years as you were coming up, and that's what you wanted, and you thought about it, and then when it happened, I don't want to use the word anticlimactic. It was just kind of like, oh, it was just almost like going to work, it was just, you just kind of did it, you would just kind of get up and do the work. I sometimes I think on a broader sense, like people watch American Idol or something, or The Voice or one of these shows, and there's always like some sort of, story behind the person, where they came from, and, oh, and this is for all the marbles, and what are they, that this is their dream, and this is the back, you know what I mean? And now it's all like, a musician's just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and if this doesn't work out, there's a gig tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the truth of it. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't really think we did a lot of that, a lot of sitting back and saying, oh my God, we could probably do more of that now than we did.
Yeah, not even that, like you kind of sat back and like you thought about it in depth, but like, I mean, I feel like, I've never had, that kind of success. So I don't even know, but like, I feel like, I'm sure without knowing, you guys felt this, like, you're just kind of like, wow, I get to do this. And like, I've reached a level that like people aspire to be at, like, and I'm sure you're thankful for that, and just kind of soaking in the moments and, just rocking.
Yeah.
I mean, it was certainly filled with, amazing moments that like Bret said, you kind of, I don't know. I remember playing a show with the band, and like, the band was like our musical heroes. And so all of a sudden we're standing there, having a cigarette with Levon Helm. And it was like, it's, I don't know, it just seemed kind of normal. And it was like, I think, looking back on it now, you're like, holy fuck, that was great. That was pretty awesome. We got to do that.
Yeah. That's neat how you have different perspectives, like, when you're in it and when you're after it's over. And speaking of it being over, I mean, you guys had this success and then kind of, disbanded, so to speak. Like, I'm not asking you to go into details and kind of get any sides or whatever, but like, I mean, did you guys just have different things you wanted to pursue and you kind of stepped away? I know Bret kind of left in 2014. And then Paul left shortly after that.
Basically, yeah, I mean, the thing about bands, the thing about bands is this, it's like when you're 25 and you're all living in a van, or if you're lucky and you're pretty successful and you're in a tour bus, and maybe you're all don't have families yet, or you don't have other jobs, and that's pretty much all of your focus, and and I think like I'd say that probably one of the times that we were that was right before we got a record deal. We're like, everybody was at the same point in their life. Everybody was, we're going down this path is what we're going to do. And it was like that. And then later on, then it turns into like, okay, well, one guy's got a job, and another guy's running a studio, and maybe they're doing this, and the other guy has a couple kids, and you know what I mean? And it gets tougher,
Mhm.
it gets tougher to get everybody and get everything moving in a compatible way. You know what I mean? Some people want to do more of this, some people want to do less of this, some people can, some people can't, and that's why you have 5 versions of the Grassroots and the Coasters and older bands like that out there, because some of those guys aren't around anymore. But you know what I mean? Those older bands who have like 1 or 2 members, and so like, for a band like, Aerosmith or Motley Crue, well, Mick Mars just retired, but like bands like that are all sort of like still intact with the original guys. And that's really a rare thing to be able to do 30 years later.
Yeah. Well, the
Yeah.
age-old story is just like, it's a relationship, and you have 5 different people with, like you said, different ideas and different stages of life, and
Sure.
you have a hard time. I with my wife, it's a hard time just even deciding what to eat for dinner. It's like, how do you how do you decide what to do as a band?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's difficult, and it's different now because it's a different animal now. I mean, even now than it was 20 years ago. I mean, like, you don't sell records anymore. They're streaming. It's just such a different game than it was when we started.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. You have a new record coming out, I believe it's December 23rd, and it's titled The Badlees, correct?
Just self-titled this.
Self-titled. And yeah, I mean, a lot has changed. I mean, even, since the last record was released, I mean, a lot has changed since then. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, how are you guys going to push this record? I mean, like, have you thought about that? Do you not care? Because it's like, hey, you know what? We're back making music. This is a lot of fun. Like, people buy it, great. If not, who cares? Like, it's a different time.
Look,
Yeah.
I think obviously the whole model got flipped on its head, from when we first started chasing this thing. And so it's like, I think where we start now is like that music on that record was like soul fulfillment, right? So how now do you get that out to the people that, would be looking for it? And that's, that's always going to be the challenge, right? How somebody walks into a warehouse, it's like you can't find anything because there's so much shit there. So, but I think for us, for me, like I would rather just like, let's have this grow organically, and I think good things are going to happen. And it's like, we can control the things that we can control. We can still be a great live band, and we can still go and play and do our thing and sell some records locally, or just use that to build shows. But do we have the resources to go chase the things out there, like licensing deals and all the other things that now is where the money lives? I don't know the answer to that question. Bless you, brother. I think when I look at it, Bret might have a different viewpoint. To me, making this record was like a monumental achievement. I was like, holy shit, we made this record, so I don't even know if I've wrapped my head around like what comes next, which we'll probably figure out.
Yeah. I mean, once again, like, for back in the day, I mean, and this still happens for bigger artists now, you know what I mean? But it's like for back in the day, there'd be this big kind of, there'd be a record and a tour and this, and this big, explosion of stuff every 3 years that an artist would do, whatever their tour and their new record and their campaign, and and all the live shows and merchandising and everything else, and the interviews and press and, whatever that would be surrounding a release. Now it's kind of like a little bit more, it's got to be a steady flow because people's attention spans are so short. You put out a record, and you go everywhere, you make this big bang and then it just kind of dissipates in a week or two, So,
yeah,
no matter, I think you're better off, making your thing and spreading it out and just trying to get a little bit of consistency of things to talk about with people and your fans, and just trying to keep them entertained. Whether that be live shows or that be, I don't know, live shows or a documentary or a podcast or just different things that you can do to kind of just keep people entertained and keep people engaged in what you're doing as an artist, and that's kind of a never-ending quest now. The original impetus for us doing a record was we have these shows in 2022 that we have, and we were trying to do something special for each month, right? And last one of the year is this Kirby show, and I said in a message once, I said, part of me wants to make it a record release party. So everybody's like, oh, that'd be cool, that'd be fun, and so we said, well, we don't know if it'll be a 2-song, whatever, 2-song, that's not even an EP, single with a bonus track, or it'll be like a 5-song EP, or we'll make a full-length record, or it'll all suck and we don't do anything. So we just set about that task of like, let's start recording some stuff, and this was only a handful of months ago, and we'll see how far we get. And as it worked out, we got pretty far. So and that was, it really was as simple as that. It was like, let's do this to make this show special. And
right.
That's really was why we did it. So now going forward, I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do, once the music exists.
And how many songs did you end up with?
10.
Great.
Yeah,
they had to come together pretty quick. I mean, you just had that the show last year that we mentioned earlier. Like, did the songs just kind of start, coming quick for you guys, or how did that look?
Nobody, I mean,
right.
nobody knew a song in June, I mean, in June, I had written some songs, but nobody had heard them. That's not that many months ago.
No. Wow. 6 months. Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, it was just kind of like, I don't know, you say, well, here's our, if we want to do this, we're going to have it finished by Thanksgiving. And let's just go backwards and let's start now. And that's our deadline, and see how far we can get, and it was really as simple as that. And that's the one thing I don't know, I still do a lot of producing and I work with a lot of young bands, and I'm babbling here, but like the one thing about our band that I forget about is when it comes time to do something, like everybody moves, I mean, we're old men, but like, I mean, everybody moves, everybody gets things done, and that's, a lot of musicians don't have that kind of, work on a deadline, work ethic, get it finished, then do it again, then do it again, then do it again. And I think that's kind of why it works so well for us in the beginning, from the beginning.
You're professionals. That's what you are.
Yeah.
I think we just held our high standard of, we put ourselves in a cycle of, write a record, record a record, tour the record, and we just kept, rinse and repeat over and over again. And so, for us, it was like we saw, and I think even now we're going to see, that record feeds what's to come after it, right? And so we had no desire, moving past the initial shows of like, wow, they're back, we're back playing shows. It was like, that was only going to last us, how long? A year before, the novelty would have worn off. It was like, we needed to be at the top of our game. We needed to be, putting out stuff that was new, that we were excited about, and moving the ball forward, because, I don't think any of us wanted to be a nostalgia act. It's like, we should be talking about what we're doing now as opposed to what we've done. You know, what we've done is awesome, but it's exciting to the guys in the band. And like when it's exciting to the guys in the band, I think that now radiates.
For sure. And that's why I didn't want to get too deep into, you know, the deep history of the Badlees. I just kind of want to touch on that because like it's really cool. You guys are, you know, you're back, you're moving forward, new music. As far as the show on the 23rd at the FM Kirby Center in downtown Wilkes-Barre, you know, what can people expect from that? And how did that come together? You also have some local talented musicians from Northeastern Pennsylvania as opening acts that night. Talk a little bit about the show, how it came together. And, you know, I know Bret works with a lot of those artists that are on the bill, but how important it was for you guys to kind of include those up and coming acts, or not even up and coming. I mean, like, I think Dustin Douglas is on that, established, right? Joe Burke is probably the most up and coming on the bill, but just talk about that show coming up.
Yeah, Bret put that one together. So go Bretley.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, you know, first of all, I mean, like, you know, like Joe, I've made three EPs with.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I've produced, you know, I think pretty much everything he's done in the last, you know, that I'm aware of anyway, you know, in the last 3-4 years, which I love his music. You know, I love what he does. And you know, Joe's has the Husty, Rob and Tim playing with him, Husty Brothers, and AJ jumped. And AJ kind of put the show together as far as like, hey, what do you think of doing something like this? You know, via Carl Hall and, you know, his club there, and the Kirby as well. So I mean, he was kind of like the point person to actually make this thing happen. And Dustin used to be in the band, you know. I mean, years ago, Dustin used to play with the Badlees, and we all know Dustin. You know, and Dustin's a great man, great player, and you know, as well as the rest of the fellas, you know, and you know, Matt and Tommy, and you know, so it's like, yeah, it's a little bit of a family affair, you know. So
awesome.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to all that. And as far as like how it came to be, it was kind of me talking on the phone with AJ, you know. Like, oh, you know, like, and all these guys, you know, like I did, and the Badlees guys didn't, but the rest of these guys, a lot of these guys and these other guys, and most of them are native to this area. So, you know, like the Kirby Center would be a place that they would have dreamed of playing growing up. You know, as young musicians, they would have went to see their first shows there.
Yeah,
you know. So I mean, this is a cool night for those guys, you know, as well as us.
Yeah, the Kirby Center is a great venue to have at our disposal.
Yeah.
And you know, AJ works there now, AJ Jump, which is probably a dream job for him. And it's sad to say that by the time this podcast airs, he mentioned Carl Hall. Carl Hall will be closed, unfortunately.
Yeah, I just found that out today.
Yeah, I think the last show is the 10th of December. So I think this will air probably the week of the show. So unfortunately, that'll be it for Carl Hall and in its current space. I feel like there might be you know, possible move down the road, but yeah, it's just you know, you guys came up in a time where there was like clubs and venues to play everywhere, and now it's, I mean, you can kind of speak to that. Like, it's just there's few and far between now.
When we first started playing music, it was like, you know, we were filling our calendar with you know, every bar, every dive bar, every small concert venue, like literally everything. And there were a lot of them, you know, and it was a nice you know, it was a nice circle of influence, we like to call it, that we kept, you know, moving on. And I got to tell you, like, I don't know how bands do it now. It's like, because I look at all these live venues closing, it's like, you know, where do you play? You know, like, you know, you can't play at the Kirby Center and bring, you know, 12 people, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it doesn't work. But like some of the smaller places that used to exist, that if 12 people showed up, it was still a cool show, you know, they don't exist anymore, you know. And that's not just in Wilkes-Barre, that's in Philadelphia, and that's in New Jersey. It's like, it's all over the place. So, how do you get out there and do what you do? So much of why and how a good live band was by playing, 10,000 hours of, being a good bar band, and like, that's how we honed our skill set. So how do you hone your skill set if you don't have that opportunity out there to go on that playground?
Yeah, and I mean, any band can have a practice space too, right? But there's a difference between, playing with your bandmates in an empty room to practice versus playing in front of an audience where you can kind of vibe off the crowd and kind of, test songs and see how people react to them.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things like about that. It's like, getting out there and playing a 2-hour show when you have 40% of a voice.
Mm-hmm.
Things like the physical, you're not feeling well. You find yourself in a hostile environment. Either got put on a bill you shouldn't be on because of the style or whatever, and then you got to work. You got to, maybe if you can't win them over, you got to, at least kind of, you learn that sort of stagecraft stuff of like how to make people feel like, I don't know, how to just be yourself, I guess, is in such a way, and have people go, I mean, that's hard to stand in front of an audience, like, I'm sure all of us, it's like you could wake us up out of a sound sleep and throw us on an arena stage and you'd be fine, you just get that sense of comfort about playing a live show, and you can react to things going right or going wrong, and then that's part of the great thing about live performances.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't get that practicing all the time.
Right. So a lot of respect to AJ for taking the risk he did, opening Carl Hall and giving a lot of bands a place to have their first show, or work those songs out in front of an audience. And hopefully, I'm hoping that down the road he kind of finds a new place or a new home. But until then, we'll appreciate the effort that was put into Carl Hall, and hopefully people also appreciated that too. More sad news. Christy Alley passed away today.
Yeah.
I did not know this.
Now you do. Yeah.
Wow.
About an hour or two ago, I think.
She couldn't have been very old, right?
71.
Was she 71? Wow, I didn't know she was around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess she had a quick acting cancer. So unfortunately,
Wow.
not to get off topic, but
way to bring the interview way down.
This is all about current events too, Badlees shows, stars passing away, unfortunately.
Christine McVie.
But it's part of life. I mean, Bret, you yourself, I mean, had a little, I don't want to call it a dance with, you had a kidney transplant.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. And how you feeling?
Great. Yeah, I feel really good.
That's great.
Very lucky.
Yeah. We were, a lot of people worried about you, I think.
Yeah, I know. It was interesting, in my case, it's like I got lucky. I got lucky on a multitude of levels because, number one, I found a donor, which, I mean, she offered it to me. I didn't ask, so, so that was the first ultimate piece of good fortune for me. And the operation went well. And thirdly, it was like my operation originally was supposed to be on March 20th of 2020. And like all the testing got done early, and they moved me up to February 18th of 2020. By March 20th of 2020, the country was shut down.
Yeah. And
they were canceling all elective surgeries. So probably by the time I would have actually been able to get that surgery, I'd have been on dialysis.
Would that have been considered elective?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, because there's an option. The option is they put you on dialysis and they wait it out.
Yeah, but Jesus.
Yeah. But I'm saying because they moved me up a month, I was able to get the transplant and recover and, sit home with everybody else.
Yeah.
Just because of the lucky timing of it.
No, that's great. I'm so happy that things worked out with that, and you're
Yeah.
healthy and you're here and
Yeah.
still
Yes.
rocking stages.
Very happy Brett's still here.
Yeah. Not as much as me.
Yeah.
I tell you though, it's like, you know, and Paul and I were having this conversation after one of our shows. It's like, you know, you talk about getting older and all the other things. It's like, you know, every moment that we have doing this and doing it at the level that we're doing it, you know, we can kind of consider a gift, you know, and so you step off stage and it was like these past bunch of shows have been, I think, some of our best, you know, musical shows. I think the shows themselves just really best of our career. And so, you know, like to be able to do that, you know, none of us are spring chickens, you know, like we're all in our 50s, and it's like, and I'm still proud of standing up there and doing what we do. And I would still put us up against anybody else. And like, that's pretty awesome. You know, like that's what excites us, you know, still being able to do this and still being able to do it well. And none of us take any moment that we do this for granted, you know, because it wasn't here, you know, and like we willed this to existence again.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I mean, and I think a lot of your fans are too. I mean, I know they are. You have a great following, people who love you guys to death. And it's, I'm sure they're so excited to have new music coming from you guys, and you know, the show on the 23rd at the Kirby Center. A lot of good things, man. Like 2023 is like, you know, could be the next big year.
Yeah.
Would you say year of the Badlees? Is that what you just
The
said?
year of the Badlees. That's what I was going to say. Yes.
Yeah.
And you guys, you know, you say you're in your 50s. I mean, look at Bret, fantastic head of hair.
Yeah, yeah,
Pete, I mean, the hairstyle you have, I mean, I am jealous of it.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like I should call you and see how I can get that done with mine.
2023 is the year of the Badlees, I think.
Why
I
not?
would agree.
Right.
Let's
Yeah.
make it the year of the Badlees. Who's stopping you?
Huh?
Only you can stop yourselves.
I can't even stop myself. Right.
That's not
I envy us. Yeah. Yeah.
As far as the sound of the new record, you know, how does that compare to previous music? Maybe it doesn't. I always talk about how you know, people who have favorite bands, they get pissed off when, you know, the new record doesn't sound like the old stuff, because, you know, you guys should only, you know, write certain songs certain ways. God forbid you guys are artists and get creative with shit, right? But yeah, how does this compare to, you know, previous stuff?
I think well, because it was done, excuse me, because it was done so quickly, we didn't have really, you know, much time to deconstruct anything or come at, you know, basically we kind of had to just, you know, use our right hand, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, you know, just use the right hook that we have, you know, that comes natural to us. You know what I'm saying? So
Sure.
so like I think that we're right in line. I mean, look, we've played it for a bunch of people, you know, and you know, longtime friends, and you know, people that worked with us, and a few fans, you know what I mean, and pretty much consistently, people that I've talked to have said that, you know, see, this kind of fits right in with the rest of the catalog, you know, and sounds like it's right in line. You know, that's been pretty consistent. So I don't think we reinvented the wheel. I think there's some. I think we stretched on a couple tunes, you know. But it's you know, it's a Badlees record, you know, and I think it's in the wheelhouse.
Very cool.
And these guys are better at being, you know, at being producers, you know, and so I think that, like, you know, look, the five of us are playing on the record, so it's going to sound like us, but you know, the lens that they're looking at it from, you know, it's nice to see that growth. Obviously, we didn't all of a sudden make a Nine Inch Nails record, but like, you know, I think it's a current version of the Badlees.
That's cool. I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah.
Will there be? I'm guessing, you know, the Badlees they have to have like physical copies, right? Are you guys getting CDs made?
Yeah.
Very cool. And
We
obviously,
had the whole conversation. It's like, do people buy CDs anymore? Do they not? People still buy CDs.
Your fan base for sure, too.
Yeah.
Much more than I thought.
I miss. I used to go to the Gallery of Sound every. It was at one point every Tuesday, and then it changed to every Friday for the new releases. I was going every week, whether there was something I wanted to buy or not, and it became financially irresponsible to do, just because I was spending $50 to $100 every time I was going in there, just because, like I said, I would either want something or I would just go through the used section, or just look at covers and kind of just pick something. And so with that being said, unfortunately I subscribe to the the Spotify's of the world and things like that. But I miss the CDs. I miss like opening up and seeing the artwork inside and things like that. And it's like a lost art almost.
I would agree. I'm a big fan, of consuming music that way. I also realize that I am certainly not in the majority, and so I'm not in the majority of people who consume music. Am I in the majority of the people who consume our music? I think that's where I was wrong. I think that people, our fans still buy records and still want that physical thing and still want to be able to pop it in their car or take it with them, and so it was important for us to actually do CDs too.
Sweet. Any thoughts on vinyl? That's all the rage today. It's expensive though, from what I understand.
I think it's just not a priority at the moment. It's one of those things that's like, that would be cool.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of other ground to cover with some other things before we start.
Don't waste your time.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Your money.
It's expensive, and the audience is small.
I never got into it. I just was one of those things like, people say it sounds better. Like, I don't think that's possible. It's just bigger, it's bulkier. My CD collection, the way it is now, it's massive. I can't afford to be, buying things twice the size of them.
Yeah.
But I guess there's a cool thing, I guess, to it. You put it on and you kind of sit around or whatever. I don't know. It's not for me.
Yeah.
But
yeah, go ahead.
Go.
I had nothing to offer. Nothing special.
I had nothing to offer. Oh man. Well,
but no, they're like, the Spotify's and the streaming services of the world. That's great. I understand as far as the artists are concerned, and what the artists get paid per stream, and it's just different, it's just different. I use streaming services. You can get, pretty much more music that you can listen to in a lifetime for under the price of one CD 15 years ago, and plus put it all in playlists and play it back in different orders, and and have your whole family enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
So like it's not good for the artists in a way, but at the same time, there's other, you got to take the good with the bad. There's, you can, it's pretty cool to be able to sit at your home computer and upload a bunch of songs and pay $20, and then it's all over the world for anybody that wants to check it out in a few days.
Yeah, for exposure, or at least the opportunity for exposure is really great. I just miss. I've said this 1,000 times on this podcast. I miss the days of going to Blockbuster on a Friday night with your girlfriend or wife or whatever. I spend more time looking for something to watch on Netflix than I do actually watching something. The last time I listened to a CD or an album from front to back, I couldn't tell you when, because it's almost like you have that FOMO, the fear of missing out, where you jump to the next song and the next album because there's just so much to consume.
Yeah, I think it was pretty wild the other day. We put out 1,000 Melodies Without Words, and it was like I remember a day, the day before, Bret and Ron talking about, okay, this is going up, bam. And like, I walked through a space that I had some friends and heard the song blaring over the speakers. And it's like, how cool is it to live in a time where it's like, you can deliver new music, like Bret said, instantaneously, all over the place. And it's like, the challenge now becomes, how do you do what you do within the confines of that structure? How do you monetize, still allow you to do the things, to still be a musician, and so the value is in the experience of the live show, and the value is in the experience of, all these extras. And so, it's awesome. I don't think any of us are going to get rich by the amount of streams that we're going to have on this record. That being said, none of us got rich by all the records we sold when we were on A&M. So, right.
Well, I mean, the coolest part of streaming is like, you now have access to new music from your favorite artist maybe every month or every 6 weeks, as opposed to every 2 years. So, I mean, I love it for that fact too. Like you kind of alluded to, it's like you're more, not more present, but it's just like, it's just fresher, which I like. I like getting new stuff from my favorite artists on a regular basis, as opposed to 2 years.
Content, as Bret alluded to before, it's like, now the game becomes, you have to keep, the cycle used to be every 2 years, right? Or every 3 record, something new that's out there. It's like that, that all of a sudden is sped up to, it's like once every 2 months, there needs to be something exciting happening.
Yeah.
So that's why you have guys like Weezer doing, EPs every season, and like people just doing singles, and like only. So it's like, it's just a different way to exist.
Yeah. I think Ryan Adams released 4 albums this year.
It's crazy.
4.
I believe it.
It's wild.
But and artists, the other thing too, like I think about, like the artists say, well, I got 1 million plays on Spotify and I made $18 or $20. Well, what, I don't even, I might be way off on the math. I don't even know. But but at the same time, you're saying, well, when you got radio play, you would get more money for radio play. But it's like, okay, Molly, if you're getting 1 play on Afternoon Drive in downtown Manhattan, you're reaching a shitload more than 1 million people with the coverage of that station.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Or maybe 5 plays, over the course of a week. Afternoon Drive. So it's like, yeah, you only got 1 play, but millions of people heard it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Spotify, you're talking every time somebody hits play.
Right.
So
it's interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah. So it's a different game, and I think a lot of what you're doing as an artist now is you're like making context for people. It's kind of like, I mean, in our case, we've been at it for over 30 years and we're back now, we're doing things, and part of it's what we were. So we remixed and remastered our first full-length record, which happens to be 30 years old. And that people loved that. They thought that was great. And we played a show and we played the whole album, as Pete said. And we did a little VIP thing for a handful of fans, and we, put a little bit of merch out with that. And now we're doing a new record, which other people want to hear. And, then, maybe next year we get into some sort of we're talking about doing some things with Rock Lidditz down in, down towards Lancaster. We're doing some things with those guys, and then doing videos and, doing like a full-fledged music video. Maybe we'll do some sort of small documentary, and kind of like pulling on our past and what we're doing going forward, and just keep, you're creating context for people. You're creating things, to keep people interested in what you do. I mean, and it's an ongoing process, and it's not that's what you do. You hear there's a new Martin Scorsese movie out, you go see it because you like Martin Scorsese. It's not like it's just a different game. It's more like that.
Yeah.
Now than it used to be.
Well, I was going to wrap things up by asking you kind of, what the future held for the Badlees. I think you kind of, touched on some things that, maybe down the road. But you know, we had the show on the December 23rd, FM Kirby Center. We have it's Dustin Douglas and the Electric Gentlemen, Joe Burke and Company, and then you guys. Am I missing?
That's it.
Okay, so
That's everybody. Yeah.
3 great bands. The Badlees are back. New album the same day, self-titled. And then obviously 2023, the year of the Badlees. So
Yep.
there we go.
There it is.
Better
Yeah.
than Duck. Oh.
But anything concrete for 2023 that you guys know of that you can talk about, or we're just kind of see where the album takes you?
You know, we have some shows booked, and I think that, you know, we're gonna kind of put our thinking caps on, you know, and try to figure out some creative ways to do what we do and to keep the ball moving forward. I think that's, you know, that's for sure. This has been doing this record, and you know, the way that we did this record is, you know, recording, you know, remotely and sending tracks all over the place, and the fact that this all worked, you know, to me, just opened up all these doors of things that we could do to continue on. And it's like, you know, there is no reason why Bret can't write a song on Thursday and record it on, you know, Saturday and Sunday, and, you know, put it out on Tuesday. You know, there's no reason why we can't do those things. You know, and like that's pretty cool.
There you go, Bret. Start writing songs.
I'll have one done by Thursday.
Thursday.
That's Monday right now. I expect something on our desk by Saturday. Okay.
I'll have it there.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's really great to be able to kind of talk to you guys at length. You know, the guys who, you know, I you know, heard River songs from back in '95 when I was, like I said, 13 years old, and my mom is going to be excited for the new record. I don't know if she knows about it yet, but she introduced me at a very early age to you guys, so I'm thankful for that, and thankful for your health, Bret. Obviously,
Thank you.
it's great to see you that you're still, you know, rocking, and it's good to see you guys back together again. You know, it's kind of where you guys belong. So
Excellent. Happy to be here. Happy to be seen.
Yeah. Good to still be doing this.
yeah, hopefully I'll see you on the 23rd. I mean, like I said, I've never seen a Badlees show. I'm thinking about getting tickets for my mom, for like as a Christmas gift. But if people want to buy tickets, where can they go for those?
Kirby, I think it's the KirbyCenter.org. Is that
Yeah,
right?
I think so. Yeah, I'll put them in the links too.
You know, or the Kirby Center. They can get them at the Kirby Center box office. They're on Ticketmaster if you want to deal with the evil empire. And
Yeah, we don't need you guys crashing the internet like Taylor Swift.
no, I think we're safe. The internet's safe.
I don't know. It's the year of the Badlees.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. I know it's late on a Monday night, so I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. It shows how you guys have fallen from grace, because we're doing big time interviews 30 years ago, and now you're talking to John Popko on a Monday night.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
Why not?
sorry. But I appreciate it. I really do.
2020, who knows if 2023 isn't the year of John Popko, right?
Maybe you're right. Let's do it.
Maybe we're in on the ground floor here.
All right. Well, I appreciate
That's
that.
right.
But no, seriously, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And best of luck at the show on the 23rd, and best of luck in 2023 and beyond.
Thank you, sir.
All right. We'll see you soon.
Later.
Awesome. Thanks.